Lights dim, the theater hushes, and that unmistakable emerald code begins to drizzle down the darkness like radioactive rain. 25 years after its premiere, The Matrix still grabs us by the collars of our trench coats and yanks us into a brain-bending trip where kung fu meets metaphysics. Yet most fans only know the surface story, the iconic lobby shootout, the slow-mo bullet dodge, the red pill meme that's now political shorthand. Beneath the vinyl slick surface pulses an even richer saga of lucky breaks, shattered bones, philosophical rabbit holes, and technical gambles that changed cinema forever. What follows are 30 expanded, turbocharged revelations, each wearing its own title so you can navigate the rabbit warren at lightspeed or pause on a favorite fact for extra bragging rights under the YouTube comments. Ready? Then brace your mind, adjust those pince-nez sunglasses, and remember, knowledge, like the truth, sometimes hurts in all the best ways. Philosophical bedrock, Plato, Descartes, and Baudrillard. Collide, the Wachowskis didn't simply pepper references to ancient thinkers, they built the film's motherboard out of them. Plato's allegory of the cave supplies the core metaphor of prisoners chained to illusions, while René Descartes' evil demon hypothesis whispers that a malicious entity could weave every sensation you trust. Layered on top comes Jean Baudrillard's Simulacra and Simulation, arguing that modern society drowns in copies with no originals. The book even appears on screen as Neo's hollowed-out stash box, a literal hiding place for contraband truth. The result is cinematic alchemy, philosophy distilled into pop thrills so potent that high school teachers still assign scene analyses alongside dualist essays. Each time Morpheus murmurs, "The Matrix is the world that has been pulled over your eyes," he's giving a crash course in epistemology wrapped in leather and charisma. Anime DNA, How Ghost in the Shell and Akira Became Hollywood Storyboards. Long before Warner Brothers wrote a single check, the Wachowskis binged Japanese cyberpunk until sunrise, freeze-framing Ghost in the Shell's data drops and Akira's urban decay. They printed those frames, glued them into a pitch Bible, and slapped it onto conference tables to prove their vision could look both futuristic and philosophical. Trinity's gravity-defying dive echoes Motoko Kusanagi's plunge through office windows, Neo's rooftop sprint channels Kaneda's fearless bike slide, only vertical instead of horizontal. Even the color palette, sickly greens against bruised concrete, borrows from anime's neon noir vocabulary. So, the next time someone claims Hollywood invents everything, remind them that one of its boldest visual revolutions began as homage to VHS tapes rewound 1,000 times in a Chicago apartment. Forged in steel, Keanu Reeves's post-surgery, fighting style. Neo's sculpted minimalism wasn't a stylistic flourish, it was forced adaptation. Months before cameras rolled, Keanu Reeves lay in a hospital bed undergoing spinal fusion to fix a herniated disc that threatened permanent paralysis. With titanium pins lacing his neck, he entered fight camp wearing a rigid brace and a doctor's warning, "No high kicks unless you want a wheelchair cameo." Enter legendary choreographer Yuen Wu Ping, who rewrote the choreography overnight. Swapping flamboyant spin kicks for grounded centerline strikes, Wu-Tang hand traps, and that piston-like elbow flurry we now associate with gun kata. The accidental constraint birthed a signature look. Neo fights like a philosopher conserving movement, every strike economical, every block an exercise in pain management turned Zen artistry. The great what if, Will Smith, Wild Wild West, and an alternate Matrix. In 1997, Will Smith was Hollywood's golden ticket, fresh off Men in Black and Independence Day. Warner Brothers dangled the role of Neo, but Smith's gut said no. He opted to lasso giant mecha spiders in Wild Wild West instead. Smith later admitted he wasn't mature enough to grasp the script's metafiction maze. I would have made it goofy. His pass rewrote history. The same offer grazed Nicolas Cage, Val Kilmer, and Leonardo DiCaprio before boomeranging back to Reeves, the quiet outsider perfect for a messiah who begins life as an office drone. Somewhere in the multiverse, Neo cracks one-liners and beatboxes over bullet time, but thankfully not in ours. Trinity Roulette, Sandra Bullock's Almost Neo and Carrie Ann's Destiny studio execs wanted a household name, so they pitched a gender-flipped Neo to Sandra Bullock. She liked the concept, but balked at unknown directors and a script thick with technobabble. Trinity herself almost shifted into a cameo. Bullock's polite declination reopened auditions where Carrie Ann Moss, a Canadian TV veteran who'd taken kickboxing to calm stage fright, arrived in a black trench coat she couldn't yet afford and proceeded to nail a 3-hour physical tryout. By the 10th scorpion kick, the room fell into stunned silence, and Trinity was born. Bullock landed Miss Congeniality the following year. Moss landed Cinematic Immortality. Oracle of Style, Lawrence Fishburne replaces. Sean Connery as Morpheus. Sean Connery skimmed the pages, frowned at terms like Nebuchadnezzar hovercraft, and retreated to golf. The Wachowskis, unfazed, reached for Lawrence Fishburne, whose resume stretched from Apocalypse Now to Boys and the Hood. Fishburne imbued Morpheus with priest-like serenity and a subwoofer voice that turned exposition into gospel. His commitment was so deep, he asked wardrobe for a trench coat that would swirl like liquid each time he pivoted, birthing a silhouette as iconic as Darth Vader's cape, without a single Padawan joke. Corporate malware, crafting Hugo Weaving's hypnotic Agent Smith voice. To birth Agent Smith's unsettling drone, Hugo Weaving studied the Wachowskis' real-life speech patterns. They spoke softly, stretching vowels like taffy, so Weaving mirrored that calm, but infused it with contempt. Then he dialed his Australian accent down to near zero and inserted microglottal stops that make each Mr. Anderson feel stitched together by malicious code. The final voice is a virus disguised as courtesy, polite, patient, and colder than liquid nitrogen. Each syllable lingers just long enough to suggest your operating system is about to crash. $750,000 spin. The birth of bullet time. Visual effects supervisor John Gaeta gambled a small fortune on a metal ring laced with 120 still cameras, each timed to fire milliseconds apart. The resulting slice of stills, when stitched together, created the illusion of frozen actors inside a moving world. The hardware looked like a torture device for DSLRs, and insurance companies panicked at the thought of stunt doubles dangling in the center of a high-voltage camera halo. Yet the risk paid off so spectacularly that bullet time became shorthand for slow-motion omniscience. By Monday morning, ad agencies were storyboard scribbling budget knockoffs for soda commercials. Kung Fu Boot Camp, 4 months of sweat, bruises, and wire. Fu. 6 days a week for 4 straight months, the principal cast reported to a gritty Hong Kong dojo where Yuen Wu Ping's students, some of whom once trained Jackie Chan, taught them Wing Chun trapping, wire rig flips, and the lost art of landing without shattering knees. Keanu spent breaks practicing calligraphy to steady his post-surgery tremors. Carrie Ann Moss iced a sprained ankle nightly. Lawrence Fishburne split his suit pants attempting a scissor kick. The crew shot behind-the-scenes footage of bruises so numerous they looked like abstract tattoos, proof that no CGI can replicate the gravity of real pain. Recipe for reality, sushi menus, hidden inside the Matrix. Code production designer Simon Whiteley needed a background texture no audience had seen. He lifted kanji characters from his Japanese wife's sushi cookbook, scanned them, inverted the colors, and then added stray Latin letters until the cascade resembled radioactive kanji rain. Every time the opening titles roll, you're effectively reading instructions for shrimp tempura disguised as cosmic revelation. Ironically, The Matrix's ultimate secret isn't universe-shattering, it's what's for dinner. Sydney's secret identity, turning Australia into anonymous America, shooting in Los Angeles, would have bulldozed the budget, so the production hopped to Sydney, where modern glass towers sit shoulder to shoulder with Art Deco lobbies. The city's generic urban layout let the filmmakers dodge recognizable landmarks. Even so, eagle-eyed fans can spot Martin Place in Morpheus's jump program balcony test. Local workers watched lunchtime riot police drills, only to learn they were extras rehearsing for Agent Smith's downtown takeover. Today, Sydney tour guides offer Matrix walks, pointing out where Morpheus once hovered by helicopter over unsuspecting office workers grabbing flat whites. Practical carnage, the lobby shoot out without CGI. The marble-pillared foyer may look like a war zone, but almost everything breaking is real. Effects teams embedded 10,000 plaster-filled squibs into pillars and walls, then choreographed camera passes with Swiss watch timing so shards detonated inches from actors' faces. Each night the art department patched bullet holes like battlefield medics, repainting and replastering until dawn. CGI entered later, only to delete wires and clean up dust artifacts. Proof that even in the digital age, nothing beats blowing up actual concrete for audience goosebumps. A hero's paycheck. Keanu's $35 million and a cancer wing Reeves negotiated $10 million up front, plus 10% of first dollar gross, eventually taking home around $35 million. 70% disappeared the same week, into the leukemia ward treating his sister Kim. He then bought every stunt performer a brand new Harley-Davidson, citing gratitude for keeping me alive. The gesture cemented his reputation as Hollywood's patron saint, a dude so generous that interviewers sometimes forget to ask about acting because they're too busy thanking him for existence. Iron Will, Carrie Ann Moss's 3-hour audition gauntlet. Moss arrived wearing borrowed boots, sweating through a leather jacket in midsummer heat. Casting directors asked her to perform Trinity's rooftop spin kick again and again until her quadriceps vibrated. After nearly fainting, she insisted on one more take, breathing through clenched teeth until the camera operator whispered, "We got it." By the end of the day, she'd belted out so many kiais that nearby offices wondered if martial arts class had rented the studio. Trinity's intensity didn't come from method acting, it came from muscle memory and raw refusal to quit. Titanium villainy, Hugo Weaving's broken hip and digital scowl. Early in training, Weaving attempted a butterfly kick, landed awkwardly, and fractured his hip socket. Surgeons installed screws. Production halted. Instead of recasting, the Wachowskis delayed fight scenes, filming close-ups and dialogue while Weaving healed. The subtle limp visible in Smith's later scenes isn't a performance flourish. It's real pain sublimated into robotic elegance. Few villains can credit hardware upgrades for menace, but Agent Smith literally runs on metal. Ecstasy to epistemology, the real-world roots of red versus blue pills. The color-coded capsules draw partly from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, but the Wachowskis also tapped 90s rave culture, where pill color hinted at potency and effect. Red represented enlightenment, or a stronger high. Blue promised mellow calm. By injecting that trope into their existential screenplay, the filmmakers created a symbol so sticky it now stars in congressional hearings, conspiracy forums, and dating app bios. The next time someone boasts they're red-pilled, thank a warehouse DJ from 1994. Comic book proof of concept, the $10,000 storyboard gamble. Studio confidence was fragile, so Warner Brothers gave the Wachowskis a meager $10K to illustrate the script. They hired comic artists Steve Skroce and Jeff Darrow to produce a 600-panel graphic novel depicting every key shot, angle, and dolly move. Executives flipped through the tome and saw a finished movie, minus frames per second, and green-lit $60 million. Years later, Marvel Studios would turn similar previs storyboards into a standard pipeline, proving The Matrix hacked not just stories, but production workflows. The Keanu imperative, beating Johnny Depp for the role of Neo. Warner Brothers, favored Johnny Depp, fresh off Donnie Brasco, and drummer rock charisma. The Wachowskis stood their ground, arguing that Reeves's stoic blank slate let viewers project themselves onto the one. When marketing tests showed audiences trusted Keanu as an everyman, the studio relented. Depp went on to sword-fight the undead in Pirates of the Caribbean, while Reeves became the face of simulation theory. Sometimes the universe casts itself. Heroic geometry, Trinity's iconic scorpion kick in painstaking detail. Filming that first scene freeze frame required 7 Vantage cameras, 3 wire operators, and a floor painted glossy to catch reflections. Moss trained for weeks to hit the inverted 90-degree angle without over-rotating, practicing against foam bricks until her hamstrings spasmed. Each microsecond of the kick, boot heel hovering near a guard's temple, was captured at 300 frames per second so editors could choose the exact frame that would hang in poster shops worldwide. The result launched 1,000 cosplay photo shoots and Pilates enrollment spikes. Box office. Tsunami, $465 million on a $60 million bet, released March 31, 1999. The Matrix cruised to $171.5 million domestically and $293.8 million overseas, settling at a cool $465.3 million worldwide. It was the 4th highest earner of the year, wedged between Toy Story 2 and The Sixth Sense. More importantly, it proved that R-rated, brain-teasing sci-fi could mint multiplex gold at a time when studios believed only family-friendly franchises could bring home bacon. Executives who once questioned the philosophy now chase anything described as high concept with action swagger. Oscars Reloaded, Cleaning House on Technical Awards. Night on March 26, 2000, The Matrix faced George Lucas's shiny comeback kid, Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, in 4 technical categories. The Jedi lost every duel. Best visual effects went to John Gaeta's camera ring. Best film editing honored Zack Steinberg's digital splicing. Best sound and sound effects editing crowned the team that melded kung fu whooshes with roaring subway trains. It marked the first sci-fi to sweep every category it entered since Star Wars itself in 1977, and did so by breaking rules Lucas pioneered. Real fear, real fall, Neo's rooftop leap of faith, that gasp-inducing moment when Neo hurls himself into open sky. Keanu did it, no full CGI surrogate. A 40-foot set piece suspended him on a bungee harness, then launched him forward as a wind machine howled at 60 miles per hour. The look of sheer panic isn't crafted, it's Reeves experiencing legitimate vertigo. Editors left tiny, flailing hand twitches intact to emphasize doubt before triumph. Watching the scene with this knowledge turns whoa into whoa. He actually did that. Neon-tinted leather. Kim Barrett's Wardrobe Revolution costume designer, Kim Barrett, dunked fabrics in custom dye baths, spiked with emerald toner so subtle you don't consciously register it. But your brain ties every pleat to falling code. Trinity's catsuit, originally cheap PVC, nearly baked moss during test lights. Barrett upgraded to Japanese stretch leather lined with moisture-wicking mesh. Meanwhile, Morpheus's alligator texture overcoat used 100 feet of coated silk that shimmered under sodium street lamps. Within 6 months, mall boutiques worldwide stocked vinyl dusters, and sunglasses brands cranked out rimless specs labeled Morpheus 2.0. No pad shades? Engineering Morpheus's gravity. Defying glasses, regular shades employ nose pads and temples. Morpheus's rely on spring-loaded bridge clamps that bite into the nose's soft tissue. Prop makers tested 8 alloys before finding one that held during a backflip. Fishburne affectionately called them face staplers. Knockoffs exploded onto flea market tables so fast that customs agents seized thousands of counterfeit frames labeled simply cool glass. Guerrilla marketing, the 3-second trailer that broke the internet 1.0. In late '98, Warner Brothers bought a single primetime TV slot during WWF Monday Night Raw. Viewers saw glowing green glyphs, a quick shot of Trinity levitating, and one question: what is the Matrix? No release date, no stars, no info. Web searches spiked 300% on dial-up. Forums like Ain't It Cool News lit their servers on fire with speculation threads, turning ignorance into viral gasoline long before viral was buzzword worship. Philosopher's rebuttal: Baudrillard says, "You got it wrong." Jean Baudrillard accepted a private screening ticket and emerged unimpressed, calling the film still too realist to capture genuine simulation. Fans clapped back with thesis papers and late-night dorm debates. The controversy turbocharged philosophy bookstore sales and injected post-structuralism into teenage vocabularies. Even the Wachowskis shrugged, admitting cinema can't fully depict hyper-reality, but by sparking debate, they'd achieved the next best thing: getting millions to Google simulacrum. Trans allegory unveiled: Lana Wachowski's personal blueprint. In 2020, Lana Wachowski confirmed what LGBTQ+ forums had whispered for years. The red pill echoed estrogen capsules, and Neo's disconnect from his assigned identity mirrored trans dysphoria. Scenes of code rippling like water, mirrors melting like mercury, and names shed like snakeskin suddenly gained new resonance. Fans revisited the trilogy, spotting subtext in pronoun slips and hairstyle shifts. The Matrix evolved from blockbuster to living document of self-discovery, proving art can update itself when its creators come out. Soundtrack: Shockwave, Rage, Manson, and the Metal Industrial Mixtape. Instead of orchestral grandeur, the Wachowskis picked Marilyn Manson, Rammstein, Prodigy, and Rage Against the Machine. The album dropped March 30th, 1999, clambered to number 7 on Billboard, and spent months pumping iron with college kids who treated Wake Up like a squat rack anthem. Even the end credit choice, Rage screaming, "It has to start somewhere," felt like prophecy for the Internet activism era about to dawn. Library of Congress Immortality, National Film Registry Induction. On December 19, 2012, the U.S. Librarian of Congress added The Matrix to the National Film Registry, citing cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. The Preservation Vault now stores pristine film reels alongside Citizen Kane and Casablanca. Tour guides like to joke, "Here's the Rosebud sled, here's Rick's piano, and here's the green code that taught America to question everything." Legacy loop: sequels, animation, games, and memes as reality. The original spawned Reloaded and Revolutions, 2003, the anime anthology The Animatrix, 2 console games, the narrative-forward MMO Enter the Matrix, and 2021's Resurrections. It also birthed a digital dialect, blue-pilled now epitomizes willful ignorance on social feeds. Glitch in the Matrix captions every déjà vu TikTok. The franchise isn't just a series of movies, it's a language engine, rewriting slang as efficiently as it rewrote Hollywood physics. And there you have it. 30 Deeper Than Ever dives into the code behind cinema's most stylish mind bomb. From spinal surgery forging stoic kung fu to sushi recipes masquerading as computer glyphs, The Matrix proves greatness thrives on happy accidents and stubborn vision. These stories aren't simply trivia. They're digital breadcrumbs describing how audacity, intellect, and a bit of risk can reshape culture. So the next time that green rain flickers and brass stabs announce the simulated city, remember the cracked hips, midnight philosophy benders, and renegade camera rigs embedded in every pixel. Question the concrete beneath your boots. Take nothing at face value and, above all, keep an eye out for déjà vu. If you notice the same black cat twice, don't just shrug, smile. You've learned exactly how many miracles hide inside a single, seemingly ordinary glitch.